One thing you cannot say about Kanye West is that he does not do the things that he say he's going to do. One thing you cannot say about Kanye West is that he is not confident that he is the best at whatever he does. And one thing you cannot say about Kanye West is that he does not literally conquer every industry that he gets into. We're talking about from being a producer, from being a rapper, from being a fashion designer. He literally says he's going to do something and then he literally does what he's going to do with conquering that thing. And though he can be seen as a very controversial individual with a lot of things that he says and some of the things that he does, I think in essence, learning the Kanye effect, in essence, learning how he was able to get into a lot of these industries and essentially do things that weren't necessarily normal, how he was able to make himself of such value that even when he did things that a lot of people did not agree with, I'm talking about the whole Taylor Swift situation when he literally went up to America's sweetheart at the time and basically told her she didn't deserve this award, how he was able to still stay in the industry and make money. Like, I don't think people understand. There were a lot of individuals that hated that that thing happened. And I'm not talking about regular fans or regular people. I'm talking about executives. I'm talking about CEOs, people in the industry. But they could not do something. Why? Because he made himself such an imperative, important part of the culture. They literally could not get rid of him. Even more so recently when he said something about a very strong and prolific group in America, no names, Adidas, right? One of the companies that he started with, they cut ties with him. Okay, we're done with you. We don't want to be associated with you, all these other things, bad publicity. They literally would not stop selling his product. And he tried to do a lawsuit. I'm not sure how that went, but and sue them because it's like, okay, you want to get rid of me? Get rid of my products as well. Why did they not want to get rid of his product? Because the exposure that he brought to them, because the money that he brought to them, because of the essential him, the fact that he was connected to that thing that was brought to them. So in this video, I want to talk about that, the Kanye effect. And what does that mean? Being able to go into different industries, being able to essentially conquer life. And in my opinion, being able to be the best at anything that you do. So disclaimer for this video, I do want to say that I did not think of it by myself. I actually got the idea from someone on YouTube called Wealthy Dream Girl. I did not watch her video, just want to say that, but it was no shade to the creator. I didn't watch her video because I just know how my brain works. And I just didn't want to regurgitate anything that she said in her video and copy her. But she gave me the motivation for this video because I was watching the Kanye West documentary for the second time. So I watched it when it first came out in 2022. And I don't know, something was just telling me to watch it. Maybe I needed motivation. Maybe I just needed more understanding about something, but I do remember having a prolific feeling after watching the documentary. So I wanted to watch it again. It's a 3-part series. On part 2, I took a pause. I went on YouTube and her video was the first one I saw talking about the Kanye effect. And for me, that was confirmation because there were a lot of things that I learned from the documentary. There were a lot of things that I think people have misunderstand about Kanye that I think if they understood that thing, they can use it to essentially get farther in life, essentially exactly how he did. So in this video, that's what I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to reference a lot from the documentary. Now, one of the first things, as we all know, Kanye West is very controversial. People think arrogant, full of himself, all these other things. 2 things that I think make up Kanye that I noticed from the documentary, which starts in his early 20s up until I think 2021. He has self-worth and he has confidence. And those are 2 different things that I think people get mixed up. Self-worth is just feeling like you are worthy enough to do something. So self-worth is essentially saying, I deserve to be in places and spaces. I deserve to apply to this college. Like I can graduate college, right? I can essentially start this business. I can start going to the gym. It's that deserving, that starting point. Confidence comes from actually doing. And I think what messes up a lot of people is people think that you can fake confidence. In my opinion, you really can't. You can fake self-worth and be starting something like, okay, I'm just going to fake it till I make it. I'm going to start this thing and I'm going to do this thing. But in order to get confidence, confidence comes from actually doing. So you get confidence once you graduate. You get confidence when you get your first customer. You get confidence when you get your first followers on social media. That's what gives you confidence, but you need self-worth to start. If you don't feel like you're worthy to do something, you're never going to start doing something. You're never going to get into a new relationship. You're never going to go out and go after that thing because you don't even feel like I'm worthy of love. I'm worthy of acceptance. I'm worthy of more monetary value. And one of the things that I noticed in the documentary was his mom gave him a lot of self-worth since he was young. Everything that he did, essentially, his mom made him feel like it was worthy of something. His mom made him feel like he was great. And I think that was a major push for him. But it does also give, like, that's just a little bit of just his innate personality. But it definitely was that push. And I know some individuals are like, well, I didn't grow up like that. My parents weren't like that. My mom wasn't like that. And for many of individuals, that wasn't the case. But I don't want you also to use that as an excuse. Like, I think if anything, you recognizing that you didn't have that self-worth growing up, you recognizing that you didn't feel like you deserve, is showing you the areas that you do need to work on. And going off of that, he got confidence because every industry that he went into, he spent years learning his craft. He started making beats when he was approximately 15 years old, give or take. And then when he got to his early 20s, he had been making beats his entire time in Chicago. He decided to move to New York because he was like, that's where it was going on. That's where everything was happening. That's where I wanted to be. And I wanted to be around what was happening. And essentially, that is where I would say the documentary kind of starts. And that's where his career starts. But during this process, he did want to be a rapper. He did learn how to rap in his early teens, but he just never gave himself off as being a rapper, right? But he was able to get into these industries and get into these places and spaces because he was a producer and he was making beats for people. And one of the things that I learned coming from his confidence was that he did things. Confidence comes from repetition, like doing things over and over and over and just knowing that you can do things. And I think from doing things over and over and over, he not only built a confidence in producing, but he built a confidence in himself, also going off of his self-worth, also going off, I feel like, really his mom as well. And I think that's the difference between a lot of people. And I think a lot of people may look at him as being arrogant and being this because he says, I'm the best. I'm the best at whatever I do. I'm this and I'm that. But then I think a lot of people don't realize the reason why a lot of people don't like that is because we're taught to be the opposite. We're taught to be very humble. We're taught to be very like, oh, well, you're not better than anybody else and you not this and you not that. But one thing that Kanye showed me was like his best was not even comparison to somebody else. Like if you think about this, right? Do you feel comfortable saying I'm the best at anything that you do? Like whatever you feel like you do, are you confident enough to say I'm the best at blank? Are you confident enough to feel like I'm the prettiest? Are you confident enough to feel like I'm the greatest? A lot of people aren't because there's always this thing in our mind, and it even comes from me, even being a content creator, right? I don't even really feel comfortable saying I'm the best self-growth content creator. And it's because in my mind, I automatically say, well, this person does this, and this person has this amount of followers, and this person makes this amount of money. It becomes a comparison thing. But my whole thing that I learned from Kanye was like, it's when he said he was the best at doing something, it came from a mixture of him putting in the amount of work, but then it also came from a mixture of himself. Like, I'm the best because I'm putting in the amount of work that I can put in. I'm the best because he even talked about in the documentary, he missed 3 summers. 3 summers, he was like, I was locked in the basement making beats. I'm the best because I put in all that I can do. And I think that's what messes up a lot of people. And they look at him as being arrogant and all this other stuff. But it's like men lie, women lie, numbers don't. He's put up all the numbers, whether you want to talk about input or output. He's put in all the numbers as far as putting in the work and putting in the hours. But then he also has the output when it comes to the fans, when it comes to the money. And so I think that's a question that a lot of people need to ask themselves. Like, why are you not comfortable being the best? Is it because you're scared because you know how much work it will take to become the best? Because when you think about being the best, you think about the discipline, you think about the work. Or is it because you just feel like you're just not one of those people? I come from this kind of neighborhood. I come from this kind of place. Like I can't really like, I'm the best. And I think that's one of the things that rubs a lot of people wrong with Kanye because he doesn't feel like he's in competition with nobody when it comes to anything. I'm the best. There was a part in the documentary where a rapper that he was making beats from was like, oh, well, beats for was like, oh yeah, you the best producer rapper. He was like, don't say that. He was like, don't say I'm the best producer rapper. He said, if you're gonna say I'm the best rapper, say I'm the best rapper. Mind you, he was talking to somebody that he was making beats for that was already a rapper. He had a certain confidence about himself that he felt like anything that he wanted to do, it was just a matter of him learning how to do that thing. And in the documentary, you see how he's trying to get signed to Rockefeller. And at the time, he's making beats for Rockefeller. And one of the parts that really struck me was that he wanted to make a song with Jay-Z, right? So he wants to make a song with Jay-Z. And you got to think about how much pressure this is, right? Because at the time, Jay-Z is one of the hottest rappers. This is the early 2000s. Also, Jay-Z is one of the co-founders of literally the label that you want to be on. Also, if we're going to be completely honest, Jay-Z wasn't even making songs with all the rappers on his label. And so as a producer, I'm coming to this person saying, yeah, I know you don't really know that I rap like that, but let me rap for you and let me get on your song on your newest album. And long story short, he ends up rapping for Jay-Z. This is one of the first songs they created. I'm mad at myself because I can't remember the name of the song, but we all know it. And Jay-Z loves it. And before he leaves, Jay-Z says something I'll never forget. He says, "Closed mouths don't get fed. If you would have never asked to be on that song, you would have gotten on it." And I think that shows the kind of confidence that he has in himself. And it's so easy for people to look at stuff like that and be like, well, he got lucky, right? He did. But there's also an equation to luck, because it's easier for people to say, well, he was a producer for him, so of course he was around him. So of course it was easier to rap for him and stuff like that. Luck is a two-way equation. Luck is preparation plus opportunity, right? He prepared for all those years. He knew that he wanted to be on a song with Jay-Z. He knew that he wanted to be a rapper. So time after time, year after year, he put in his repetition when it came to rapping. He put in his repetition when it came to being a lyricist, what he said that he wanted to do. And then when the opportunity allowed itself to happen, he was able to essentially conquer that thing. He was essentially able to be there. But then you see that happen so much throughout the documentary. So much of the documentary you will see to be luck. But if you really think about it, he prepared for all this stuff. Even the first time he was on stage with Rockefeller and all them, you would have thought that he was already a rapper. He wasn't timid. He wasn't like, hey, I'm from Chicago. He was like, what up? I'm from the Shy. Like, he was really giving it up like somebody that you would really think had already done this thing. And I think what happens to a lot of people when they don't have that confidence in themselves, they start to morph into everybody around them, or they start to feel timid, or they start to feel like maybe I don't deserve to be here. But he mixed his self-worth. Any room that I'm in, any place that I'm in, I deserve to be there. And then I'm building up my confidence because I'm putting in the repetition. I'm putting in the work. So when I'm in these places and spaces, I can bring value. It doesn't matter if I'm the last person here. It doesn't matter if they're older than me or they've been rapping longer than me. One of the things that he said in the documentary was, I'm not the best rapper, but I have the most heart. And that's how I got to where I am. It's not really a matter of necessarily, and yes, I know I did mention the video being the best, but he feels like he's the best because he knows how much work he puts in. But when it comes to specifics, like coming up with the best lines and coming up with this and coming up with that, he's like, I'm not the best, but I have the heart to go after this stuff. So essentially, that's what makes me the best. That's what it really takes. And I think another thing too, when you notice his confidence, is he didn't allow himself to morph into the individuals that were around him. And I think that's another sense of self-confidence. I think a lot of people do not have self-confidence in themselves because, going back off of self-worth, you don't know if you deserve to be in these places, in these spaces. You're like, I'm the new person, or I'm the youngest, or I'm the this, or I'm the that. I don't have the most experience. So let me just follow suit. Let me follow lead what everybody else is doing. There's so many people who are like, oh, I want to be content creators. And what's the first thing you do? You go on social media, you look at what all these other content creators are posting, and you're like, okay, let me post that. You say, I want to start a business. You go look at everybody else that has a business, and you're like, I want to replicate that because that's what made them successful, right? That's what got them to where they are, and I want to be where they are. So let me replicate that. And the thing about Kanye West, he was so confident in Kanye West that he did not try to replicate. He actually did the opposite of what so many other individuals did, and that's what made him great. There's a clip in the documentary, and I think this clip, I don't know, it's so cute to me. He's in the studio with all these rappers. Mind you, it's the early 2000s. So the rappers are wearing the baggy jeans with the jerseys, the big jerseys and all this other stuff. Kanye West is literally wearing a turtleneck sweater. And I think in essence, that shows who he is, because there was this thing of him not feeling like he has to conform. There was this thing of him not feeling like, oh, I have to be a gangster rapper. And a lot of his early songs, he talked about that, not being a gangster rapper. I'm not talking about selling drugs. I'm not talking about stealing and killing and doing all this other stuff. That's not me. But there was a lot of people who did do that, even to the point where that's what washed them out. Because there was this thing of, okay, well, Jay-Z got big doing this, and Nas got big doing this, and like they see the greats and people doing this, so it's like, let us just replicate that. But a lot of people didn't realize that replication is honestly what made them just become another person, another fish in the sea. And he was so confident in himself that he was like, you know what? I'm gonna be different, and you're gonna accept me, and I'm gonna be different, and you're gonna need me, because I created so much value around what I do. And another thing he often showed in the documentary was his discipline. I think a lot of people, and even when it comes to being the best, the scary part about being the best is the amount of discipline that it takes. Because I did say he conquered being a producer. I did say he conquered being a rapper. I did say that he conquered being in the fashion industry, but he did not conquer them all at the same time. He actually used each one as a platform to get to the next. He knew that if he wanted to be a rapper, he was like, okay, I'm going to create beats. Right. And even it was like, I'm going to create beats that are so good to the point where when I rap over the beats, everybody's going to be like, oh my gosh, can I get that beat? Oh my gosh, who made that beat? And he was like, it's me. I made that beat. And no, you can't have it. There was this thing of him not feeling like anything that happened in his life or anything that was a disadvantage or people told him that he couldn't do something. It was never a reason why he couldn't do that thing. And I think that takes a certain amount of determination. I think that takes a certain amount of confidence. And I think that's really what I feel like the Kanye effect is. The Kanye effect is really a mixture of self-worth and self-confidence. A Kanye effect is really being the best. And when you're being the best, it has nothing to do with other individuals. Like, I think the scary part, like I said, about being the best is there's this comparison thing. But like, if you really see it, Kanye West felt like he was the best dressed rapper before anybody thought he was the best dressed rapper. He thought he was the best rapper before anybody thought he was the best rapper. But it had nothing to do with comparison of Jay-Z. It had nothing to do with comparison to anybody else in the fashion industry. It had nothing to do with comparison with anybody or anything. But he said, I'm the best. Why? Because I think one of the things that he understood that a lot of people don't understand, the thoughts that you think and who you truly are is never going to happen again. And I think it's so easy, especially being on social media and you see all these things. You're like, oh my gosh, I've seen something like that. You ever see something on social media and you're just like, I never have a single experience by myself. Like, you experience this, you experience this. Like, it makes us feel like one singular identity. It makes us feel like one singular person. But one thing I often say is like, you're not. But what happens is we often suppress how we truly feel. We often suppress who we truly are for a multitude of reasons. But one thing that Kanye paid attention to, and I think, like I said, a lot of people don't understand, the person who had the people, I should say, that had you and the people that had them and the time that you were born and where you were born and where you grew up would never happen again. Like, you will literally never happen again in human existence. So the simple fact that you are here, the thoughts that you're having, the things that you think about will never happen again. So if you do not act on those things and you do not do those things, they will never come into fruition. And I think one thing about Kanye having his self-worth is when he says he's the best, he's like, because I thought of this, I thought of this, I thought of that, and I did it. That's, in my opinion, what makes you the best. It's not about getting all the accolades. It's not about getting all the awards and getting all the money. It's simply about saying, I thought about doing this, and so I did it. And not only did I do it, I did it to my full potential. A lot of people, in my opinion, don't do things to their full potential. They don't do things because a lot of times, too, I don't think people feel like they're truly doing things for them. They're just getting by. They're just living. And his thing was, this is the life that I want for myself. These are the dreams and aspirations, the goals that I have for myself, the visions that I have for myself. So I'm going to do whatever it takes to get there. And I think a lot of people going off being the best, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with the best. There's a lot of doubt that comes with being the best, but he did not allow any of those things to essentially hold him back because he's like, I'm Kanye West. Like, I'm him. And like I said, people see that as being arrogant. People see that as being full of yourself. But I think there's an essence that a lot of people can learn from that. Like, you can be the best. You should. Why do you not want to be the best? Literally ask yourself, why do I not want to be the best? What about me do I not think is the best? What about me is uncomfortable when I think about being the best? And how can I be the best at life? And like I said, it's not about making the most money and getting the most accolades. It was so funny. Well, not funny, but in the documentary, he was getting interviewed before the Grammys, right? His first Grammy nomination. And they asked him, like, essentially, you know, what will happen if you don't win? Or what would you do if you don't win? Or some different things like that. And he was like, well, I already created my Grammy speech. So even if I don't win, I'm just going to go, when they interview me in the back, I'm just going to say the speech. Like, there was this essence of him feeling like, I have to do these things in life. Like, I deserve to do these things in life. And even if I'm not able to be on a big stage and get an award saying a speech, you're still going to hear the speech because I put in the work for it. I put in the dedicated amount of attention, a dedicated amount of focus. And I think for a lot of people, you don't feel like you deserve a lot of things in life because you don't put in the amount of dedicated focus and attention. Like, you feel like, I think even for myself, like, certain things that I've acquired in life, it just felt like it just happened. Like, even thinking about, like, right, I graduated high school. I graduated high school with a pretty decent, I think like a 3.4 GPA, something like that. But when I graduated high school, it didn't feel like, oh my gosh, I graduated. It just felt like, yeah, okay. But I think if I would have been that girl that stayed up late night, if I would have been that girl that missed out on stuff, if I would have been that girl that studied, when I got off of work and did all this other stuff, it would have been more of an appreciation. It would have been more of a, dang, I really deserve this. But I think a lot of times in life, we do things half-assed. I think a lot of times in life, we just do things and we just get by. So that's often why you don't build up confidence. That's often why you feel like you don't have self-worth in yourself. Because a lot of times too, when is the last time you can really say to yourself, I put in a certain amount of attention. I put in a certain amount of discipline to get what I want. I said I wanted to do this thing and I put in whatever it took, the best of the best, whatever I could do to my best capability to get what I want out of this thing. A lot of people don't do that. And I don't know. I think I definitely recommend to watch the documentary. It was a beautiful piece of art. I really think it was. And it just showed Kanye in his essence. I think you can say what you want about him and whatever. And I'm not saying Kanye is perfect because I don't think anybody is perfect. But at the same time, I think the beauty behind it, and I think what more people need to show is that Kanye effect. That having that self-worth and having that self-confidence and just wanting to be the best at life. I think that's what I say about Kanye. He wants to be the best at life. A lot of people trying to be the best this, the best this, the best that. And he's like, no, I'm the best at life. Anything that I say I want to do, I'm going to do it. And that's what makes me the best because I act upon the things that I think about and I do the things that I say I want to do, no matter how people may feel about them, no matter what people may say about them, I'm going to do it. And one thing that you will pay attention to, it just becomes follow the leader. In the beginning, you're crazy. In the beginning, you're this. In the beginning, you're that. But then in the end, people doing the same thing you want to do, people copying you, people mimicking you. But it's like seeing him from a younger age and seeing that same kind of confidence. I know I keep saying the word confidence. I can't even think about like just that, just self-reassurance that he had in himself. Even if you think about the documentary itself, the documentary started before he was Kanye West. It started in his early 20s. You know how arrogant it must seem to feel like I'm such an important individual that I'm going to have somebody record me and document my life. There's some individuals who don't even want to record. They say they want to be content creators and they're not even confident enough to record their day and post a vlog on social media. And this person made a documentary about their life because he was just so confident that he was going to be great. And time after time in the documentary, you see so many people shoot him down. You see so many people and he's showing them his songs and he's so happy and they're just like, yeah, okay, Kanye. And he doesn't care. That's another thing too that I paid attention to. Like other individuals' responses to him and what other people thought didn't really mean much to him. But I think it's because he knew how much work he put into something. He knew the art that he was creating. He knew that he dedicated time to these things. So even if people didn't understand it at first, even if people weren't adhering to what he was saying. He was going into to the offices of Rockefeller and playing the songs for the assistants, playing the songs for anybody that would listen. Like it's not a thing of, oh, only the big head ups can hear it. No, he want everybody to hear his music. And he played his song with a smile. And I don't know, it just makes me think about that. Like imagine living life like that. Imagine living life feeling like I deserve to be here. I deserve to do this with everything that you do. And I don't have to conform to other individuals. And it's not going to be easy. In the documentary, you see him go through stuff. You see him get to where he thought he wanted to be and then be taken down. But time after time, what I think kept him going was that he knew the life that he wanted for himself. He wouldn't stop until he created that life. And also, at the end of the day, Kanye West knew he was the best Kanye West. And I think that's what he says that's what he means when he says he's the best. That's what he means when he talks about himself in the third person. That's what he means when he talks about Kanye. Kanye West is the best Kanye West. From the time he wakes up to the time he goes to sleep to the work that he puts in, he's the best. He's not talking about you saying that you're any less than. He's not talking about me saying I'm any less than. He's literally saying I'm the best Kanye. And that is, in my opinion, the Kanye effect. Learning what you want to do in life. And honestly, even if you don't know what you want to do in life yet, just being the best at whatever you do, waking up at the time you say you're going to wake up, going to sleep at the time you say you're going to go to sleep, working out, eating, being the best. Because I think that's what brings you happiness at the end of the day. Knowing, you know what, today I went hard. You know what, today I said I was going to do what I said I was going to do. And I don't know. I just wanted to talk about that. I hope that video made sense. I know I was kind of all over the place. I was trying to think about stuff for a documentary, think about stuff that I was feeling. But ultimately, I think, like I said, Kanye West is not perfect. I'm not trying to put him on this pedestal of perfection because I know people are going to have their own regards about that. But I just think we can learn something from him. I think learning that you deserve to be here. You deserve to do whatever you're going to do. Like, this is your life. And I think learning to be the best at whatever you do, whatever you, this thing that you call life, it's just a very imperative thing that I think a lot of people aren't taught, and a lot of people suppress, and a lot of people don't want to do. But we've all had that moment before when we've been in class or we've been somewhere and we thought something and we didn't say it and somebody else said it, or the answer was right and we just felt like I didn't want to be wrong, or I didn't want to say the wrong thing, or I didn't want to look dumb. And it's like Kanye West was able to get to where he is because he wasn't worried about looking dumb. And sometimes he wasn't always right. And he wasn't worried about being wrong because sometimes he was wrong. But a lot of times too, he was right, just like us. We've been right so many times. We saw people do things that we said we wanted to do, but we didn't have the courage to do. And we wish we would have started back then. And we wish we would have did this. And we wish we would have did that. And it's like, start doing it today. Today, I recommend you to start the Kanye effect and start becoming your best self today. So thank you so much for watching my video. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.